This is Black Wall Street Chronicles, and we're back at it again. Today, I'm going to talk about the LA wildfires and what is the thing that's causing all of the crazy wildfires in Southern California. Thank you for listening to my podcast. The article that I will be reading from is Sarah A. Mooney Museum.org. The title of the article is called Tusa Lake was once considered the largest body of water in West Mississippi. For thousands of years, the high Sierra rivers and streams ran free like the wind, eventually emptying into the San Joaquin Valley, unchallenged by any division or man-made structure. Upon seeing the magnificent Kings River in 1776, Spanish Captain Jose Joaquin Moraga revealed at the site. 30 years later, 1806, Captain Moraga's son Gabriel christened it in Rio de los Reyes, or River of the Holy Kings. Both Jose and Gabriel were prominent in Spanish Army officers during the exploration and occupation of Alta California. Little did they realized that California will slip from Spain's rule to Mexico's rule, and then just a short 44 years later, California would become the 31st state. This once impressive river gathered its majestic force for an annual Sarah snowmelts, once exploding its channel for miles as it rushed unencumbered into the San Joaquin Valley. These substantial flows of water filled what is once referred to as the largest body of fresh water west of the Mississippi River, and it was revered as Tusa Lake. It was named by the Spanish after seeing the massive native groves of tulle that lined the Tusa Lake shoreline. How big was Tusa Lake? In the wet years, it was stretched over 690 square miles across the Central Valley. At times, towns like Corcoran and Stratford, had they existed then, would be submerged beneath 25 feet of the Sierra water, and the shore would reach to the outskirts of Lemoore. Such the size and the scope of the vast Tusa Lake well over 150 years ago. Tusa Lake region was once first home of the local Native Americans of the Central Valley in Lemoore's downtown Plaza Park. A colorful mural adorns the local Bank of America east wall, depicting what life might have been for the lake's first residents. The mural depicts the tools, which will grow to 10 feet in length, and how Tachachi tribe members will utilize this natural recourse. But besides his high periods of runoff, Tusa Lake has been mostly dry for the past 100 years. Dry because of years of diversion by irrigation districts started in the 1860s, and then construction into the dams, levees, and canals that controlled the flow of the mighty Kings. Before Pine Fat Dam was built, fierce rainstorms slowly filled Tusa Lake in 1938, in 1830, and 1983. The wet year managed to fill much of the old lake as it reached the outskirts of Corcoran. According to geographic records, the area known as the Tusa Lake region formed millions of years ago as geological events create a great basin between the Sierras, the east, and the coastal ranges of the west. The end result of thousands of years of rain and mountain runoff settling in the lowest part of the basin created the largest freshwater lake west of the Mississippi. The last discharge into the San Joaquin River was in 1878. The depiction of 1879 shows the start of the many years of decline in the lake's volume. The last discharge into the San Juan River was in 1878. The depiction in 1879 shows the start of many years of decline in the lake's volume. The Kings River supplied most of the water to the basin in the wet years and prior to 1878. Tusa Lake might cover an area as large as 30 townships or 1,080 square miles, When full, the waters will flow northward into Summit Lake, into Fresno Slough, and then to the San Joaquin River, all the way down to Delta. But in the south and the San Joaquin Valley, excess runoff from the Kern and Busta Vista lakes would flow north into the Buena Vista Slough through a natural sand dune ridge into Tulsa Lake. Often called the two Tulsa Lakes, during the high runoff years, the lake will form south of the Rand Sand Ridge. The illustration historic Tulsa Lake from the BLM files clearly shows the second lake to the south of Tulsa Lake. The first inhabitants were Native Americans who settled in the Tulsa Lake Basin for 3,000 or 4,000 years ago because of Tulsa Lake were provided a bountiful supply of wildlife to plant to sustain its inhabitants. William Preston in Vanishing Landscapes wrote, a distinctive Yocos value system that supported resource management and the accumulation of surpluses gradually emerged. In addition, he adds, through burning, plant care, and the establishment of boundaries, settlements, and pathways, the Yocos recognized the basin's landscape to satisfy their subsistence needs and cultural desires, and the Tulsa Lake Basin came to bear the imprint of Yoko identity and values. The Valley Division of Yocos, which ranged from the Tulsa Pass to the south to Stockton in the north, was divided into 23 distinctive tribes. Ancestors of the local Tachi tribe members lived on the north side of Tulsa Lake and as far as Huron and Colingua. Once outsiders wander into Central Valley area, that will all change. Interesting statistics about the various sides of Tulsa Lake fills the fires at the Bureau of Land Management Office in Bakersfield and publications by researchers, and I've tried to summarize most of the technical information in hopes of providing a picture what Tulsa Lake may have looked like in between 1850 and 1880 for the article. By taking a look at the system designed to judge the size and the depth of the lake, we can understand the significance and natural attributes of this very large body of water. The measurement system is based on the fact that the lake floor is 179 feet above sea level. This means that the water surface level of 220 feet above sea level made the depth of the lake as deep as 0.41 feet, and the lake surface of 207 feet would mean a depth of 28 feet. When looking at the outflow of the lake's surface of 220 feet created by the outflow of 13 feet in the Summit Lake, which had an entrance of 2,000 feet above sea level. From Summit Lake, the water will flow into the Fresno Slough, then the San Juan River, eventually all the way to the Delta. According to records compiled by historic Inflate Lata, Tulare Lake was above the magic discharge of 270 feet flowing to the San Juan River in 1844, from 1850 to 1851, from 1852 to 1855, from 1862 to 1865, and it began between 1865 to 1877. The 200-foot level has not been attained since 1880, and the last outflow into the San Juan River was in 1878. What do all these figures actually mean? Well, in Tulsa Lake's highest surface elevation of 2,225 feet, reported in 1852, Stanford and Cochrane will be 25 feet underwater. Where Kenya would be submerged as 1 foot and shoreline would be 5 miles from Pixley and Earlman, 5 miles south of Hanford, and 3 miles south of Armonia. For us, the edge of the lake would be at the western edge of the old city in Lamar. The closest to Lamar was due to the overflow of the river's banks, water rush into the lake, and again when the lake pushed northward to Summit Lake and onto the Delta. In fact, reportedly, there was a boat dock just west of the Don Rose Adobe, near what eventually would become Lacey Boulevard and State Route 41. The Bureau of Land Management, layered over present-day Kings and Tulare counties, depicting Lamar with a blue narrow gives us excellent view of how much the lake was covered. Due to the diversion of irrigation water that gradually reduced the lake's size, there has been no lake overflow in the Sahara River since 1878. But because of intentional diversions of the Kings River, there have been times where the water from the Kings has reached the San Juan River. Although the lake has recovered in times as a stream runoff, that magic elevator number allowing for overflow never materialized after 1878. There was much speculation that the Tuso Lake could recover if wet years could materialize, like as 1852 to 1862. But the final nail, the snake will rise again theory, was the construction of Pine Flat Dam. In 1940s, the dam's construction by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers was delayed for 6 years because of controversy between supporters of the irrigation development and proponents of flood control. Construction did not finally begin in 1947. It was completed in 1954. The dam has obviously increased opportunities for irrigation, better flood control, and crop diversification. This dam has also lost some of the most extensive wetland habitats in the Sahara Valley as well as the Peter Aquifer. But alas, some may remember the flooding that resulted in 1983 that brought Tuso Lake to the city limits of Quran. The BLM operates a wonderful Tuso Lake restoration site at the Outwell Island Land Retirement Demonstration Project. The following is directly from the Bakersfield office of the BLM website, Outwell Island Project, Bureau of Land Management. Also visit the Tuso Basin Wildlife Partners on the web. It is well north visit if you're interested in the local history or the restoration of valley habitat. No reservations necessary. Yeah, so Tuso Lake was considered the largest body of water west of the Mississippi. And I believe by draining the lake, it caused a higher chance of wildfires because South California is very dry. And if you're draining the waters and you're messing with the environment, it could cause a great change in the ecosystem that can cause the wildfires because Southern California is so dry. Thank you. This is Wall Street Chronicles. I'm Jeffrey Frazier, and I'm signing off.